Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I'm the food enthusiast here at J More Living. I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Those of you joining us live, drop your questions into the comment box and I will check from time to time. A word from our sponsor, or my company, my boss, J More Living. On this coming Tuesday, June 6th, enjoy laughs and libations at Union Craft Brewing. Have laughs with a unique and introspective evening of interfaith comedy, a family-friendly stand-up show starring comedians of various backgrounds and religions with a Q&A with the performers at the end. Tickets are around $20.50 and include the show, one beverage at Union Craft Brewing. Doors open at 5 p.m. The show starts at 6 p.m. Also, each month, J More Living will be giving away $50 gift cards to numerous Baltimore area restaurants. All this can be found on jmoreliving.com. And for the contest, go to jmoreliving.com/contest. I am welcoming back to the Food Enthusiast Hiroko Shimbo. Hiroko has been working for years to bring you authentic and modern Japanese cuisine through award-winning cookbooks, hands-on cooking classes at cooking schools, culinary events, consultations, conferences, and once-in-a-lifetime culinary culture tours to Japan and instructional cooking videos. What better way to learn Japanese culture and food is with her upcoming premium tour to Kyushu. Konawachi, let's see, I can't even say it anymore. Let's welcome Hiroko.
Hi, hello, Dara.
Hello, how are you?
Very good, and thank you very much for having me in your show. Thank you.
Oh, konnichiwa. I just couldn't say it before. Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Yes. I'm just trying to do some technical stuff here. There we go. You know, just to let people know, there's another interview that I did with Hiroko a ways back. It was about 2 years ago. And we're going to briefly go over some of that, but we're going to do a little bit more in depth as to what Hiroko has been doing recently between running classes or teaching classes at the Culinary Institute of America and also her premium tour to Kyushu, Japan. But let's just go back a little bit. Obviously born in Japan. What city were you raised in? That I never found out.
Okay, so yeah, I was raised in Tokyo. I was born in Kanazawa, in Ishikawa Prefecture, which is about 144 miles from the ancient capital city of Kyoto to north. The city is facing Japan Sea. And my father was a graduate of the medical school, and he started his career as a surgeon at the university hospital. And I was born in the city where he was working. But
So it
he,
was on the island of Kyushu, right?
what? Sorry.
I'm probably, was that on the island of Kyushu?
Oh, no, it is not the Kyushu. It is the main island.
The main island, okay.
100 miles, about 100 miles from the water, from the capital of Kyoto, the famous Kyoto city. And my father wanted to open his own clinic in Tokyo. And so he moved our family when I was at 7 years old. So I was mostly raised in Tokyo.
Oh, okay. I want to let people know that Hiroko actually got a degree in English, but I think where your hesitancy was, you could read it, you could write it, but you were challenged to speak it. Am I correct?
Yes, correct. We just at the school, they don't teach us how to speak. Just we do the grammar, writing, hearing, that's it.
And you had various jobs, and eventually you were helping out because your father's surgery was attached to your home. So the people recuperated in this wing off of your home, and you were by your mother's side helping and cooking. Next, I'm skipping a number of years, but I want people to understand that you were writing this cookbook and delving into Japanese cuisine before you even came to America. You married an American, and for 4 years you were writing in Japan, and your husband Buzz was helping edit and getting a contract. You knew you were coming to the US. You found the Eckes Group, and they helped you publish your first book. And you came to the US in 1999. In 2000, published The Japanese Kitchen, 250 recipes in the traditional spirit of Japanese food. Okay, so you're in the United States. You start creating this career for yourself. Tell us a little bit more once you came to the States, how things evolved for you.
Okay, so yeah, publishing a book just after I moved to America. Before, I have been making many trips to meet with the publishers, and eventually, as you have explained, I could publish a book here. And the book was received very well, surprisingly. And because of this book, which just naturally opened a way for me to pursue in teaching and also doing consultation. Writing a book won't make anyone rich unless you are super rich people, but just opens so much possibility to do. The people came to me, asked me to join this conference, asked me to teach at these cooking schools, asked me to write more about the Japanese food. So it's yeah, it was a blessing.
Great. So now we go into the second book. I know that you were consulting with Mutual Trading Company in New York, and I think that's how we met at the Fancy Food Show. And we built a friendship from that time with it was the purple sweet potato vinegar. I don't forget those things.
Right.
So we come to the second book. The 2006, people are eating more sushi. You write The Sushi Experience, which was a James Beard finalist. The culinary community considered both books, The Japanese Kitchen and The Sushi Experience, the essential primers on Japanese cuisine. How wonderful for you.
Yeah, just I'm lucky, but for the sushi experience, I had amazing experience working with Judith Jones, a kind of legendary editor. She was almost, what was her age? Maybe it could be 78.
At that time, I think she just died like maybe a couple years ago. I
Yeah.
think she was in the 90s.
And she was such energetic, full of interest, curiosity, and the best part of the relationship. She did the editing in green pencil, and which was returned to me, and I did the revision, this kind of 7, 8 times back and forth. And another wonderful experience was she came to my place and wanted to see how the some of the sushi making processes are done, and she joined making sushi rice, cutting the fish, and it was such a it was such a fun and amazingly professional person.
Right. Just to let people know, a quick synopsis. Judith Jones was the one that brought um, Julia
Julia,
Child to the table and her book. And if you're lucky, you got her as an editor. She was very hands-on, very committed. And she also is the one who pulled from the reject pile the Diary of Anne Frank and brought that to the public as well. I have a question that's come in for you. Americans learn about and have accepted sushi. Do you feel we have much of an understanding about the full breadth of Japanese cuisine?
no, I don't think so. And American accepted sushi, but the sushi sushi is very broad. And Americanized sushi, such as inside out rolls, are ubiquitous every place in America or in other part of the country, including Japan. But the most upscale sushi, which is the nigiri sushi, hand-held little bowl of sushi topped with seasonally changing varieties of fish. That's not into every place, from the cost-wise, plus just the transportation-wise, plus people's acceptance to variety of fresh fish is so not not strong. The people love tuna, salmon, fluke, yellowtail, maybe these three things. So sushi is big animal, and Americans bite into just one part of the sushi. And when
Right.
it comes to Japanese cuisine, uh, not still mystified. And I'm actually writing my fourth book, which will completely demystify Japanese cuisine. And I will explain what Japanese cuisine is so unique in terms from preparation techniques, the implication of the ingredients, the philosophies, guidelines, techniques, just everything. I give all of the information in my fourth book.
Okay, well, we look forward to that. So, we've got 2 books down. Your third book was Hiroko's American Kitchen, which was the 2013 IACP winner. That's the International Association of Culinary Professionals winner. What inspired you to write that book?
So after writing the previous 2 books, which is just more pushing the authentic information to the American majorities, but so people are reluctant to try Japanese meals, just cooking Japanese dishes in American kitchen. So I kind of made my idea was, okay, let's make the preparations easy for the Westerners, which means just I advise the audience to make 2 sauces, 2 miso sauces, and 2 stocks. And you make these simple stocks, sauces at one time. Keep them in your freezer, and when you make this dish, just take it out from your refrigerator, freezer, and use locally, seasonally available American ingredients. So just merging Japanese flavors into American ingredients.
Right.
Did I
Got
explain?
it. So it's adapting some key sauces like the miso and dashi, etc., and how you adapt that and use that into your regular American cuisine for a new, bright, flavorful flavor.
Yes.
Flavorful flavor. Am I being redundant? Um, I've known you a long time, and in essence, I know that you are a teacher at heart. Did your mother and grandmother have any influence on you getting into more teaching about food?
Okay, so maybe could be yes or no, but let me explain my grandma and my mother because without them, I'm not here as I am now today. So my grandma, she was born Setsu. She was born at the end of the 19th century, and she was the wife of pediatrician. And back then, by the time Japan opened, and many missionaries coming to Japan, establishing a church for just spreading Christianity. And one Canadian missionary built a church very close to my grandpa's clinic. And one day, missionary came to his home clinic and asked him if he can be the doctor for the for the church, which church started to operate. And my mother was 5 years old at that time. And my grandpa, my grandma Setsu became a very close friend to this Canadian missionary and his wife, and especially Setsu, my grandma, back in 19th century. Very, very feudalistic. Women's status is below slavery. And she had just enjoyed going to church, having some, I don't know how they communicated with, but having some conversation with the wife of missionary, and always brought back some recipes back to home. And she started to make chicken stock, omelette, some Western stew, something like rolled cabbage kind of things. So my mother was brought up with my grandfather was also the adapter of democracy, and he practiced it at home and at his clinic. And because of these characteristics, my mother uh, was brought up with just an open-minded person. With just she's a very independent person, and so my grandma and my mother implanted some seeds in me, and then that's grew, and that's where I am now.
Well, you are a teacher. We can go back
Oh,
to that night of the ice storm, and you had come in to go to La Academy in Gaithersburg, and you were coming to Baltimore, and I was going to drive you to Gaithersburg for the class. Ice storm, and you slept on my couch and you
Yes,
fixed
I
us dinner,
remember.
which will always be memorable to me. But you showed me how to work with these ingredients. You couldn't stop, and we had gone for lunch to Soda Sopra, an Italian restaurant, and you went back in the kitchen and you were seeing what they were doing and you were explaining to them. Just a real teacher at heart. So now, you're teaching at the premier culinary school in the United States, the Culinary Institute of America. You just finished a class. What are you teaching there? I mean, obviously it's something Japanese, but it's more than just basic Japanese.
Yes. So this is the CIA has a program which is called the Japanese Concentration Program, which composed of 3 sessions: one basic, then advanced, and inspiration. And each course lasts 3 weeks. 3 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks, back to back. And the basic course, and this is the student can earn a credit to graduate. So it's a serious course. And the basic class is the introduction of the students to a new flavor techniques, ingredient techniques, philosophy, guidelines used in the kitchen, everything all about Japanese cuisine. What defines Japanese cuisine as we know today? Uh, I will explain everything during this 3 weeks course. It's too short to do this, but that's the first 3 course. Then the advanced course, Japanese cooking instructor from Tsuji Cooking School from Osaka will come to join me, and I will do the translation and assist the teaching. And during the advance, the students are exposed to much higher cooking techniques, more guidelines, ideas, and something like kaiseki, formal Japanese cuisine, how they are constructed, how to make individual dishes to create one whole kaiseki meal. And then at the beginning of this advanced course, student will make a special dinner for the sponsors and top top people from CIA school. Then the student go off to Japan because this program is supported by Japanese what do you call sponsors, and the sponsors take them to tour around Japan, introduce Japanese food in Japan. So students absorb everything so quickly. They come back, and then I teach the final inspiration course. The naming is very strange, but it's another 3 weeks of just making their understanding of the Japanese cuisine stronger. Just the purpose of this course for us is uh, to make a grounded base of the learning of the Japanese cuisine for the students. So after 9 weeks, students get pretty good idea what Japanese cuisine is, and it's just quite amazing how much they are like sponge. All comes as such an interest with Japanese cuisine. I had 16 students. 15 are boys, just one girl. It's in food industry. We always talk about women's chef are demoted in the kitchen, But in reality, savory cooking is still just such dominated by male students. And most of the female students goes to pastry program, even at CIA. So these 16 people with completely different mindset just absorb whichever I gave to them, and it's just I am so lucky to be able to get this position.
Well, they're lucky to get you as well. Let's face facts. You know, you're a great teacher and passionate and knowledgeable, and anyone who could get to learn. I just want to let people know that Hiroko's contact information is floating up in the comments section. And if you're going to be in Toronto, she is teaching a class up there, and it's free from what I'm reading. The link is in the comments section. And so everything you need to know about Hiroko is there. Her website is hirokoskitchen.com. That'll link you to everything that she's doing. Out of general curiosity, can you explain what a Kiyosaki dinner is and what the Japanese principle of shun is?
The kaiseki dinner is a formal course meal, usually starting from 5, 7, 9, 11 courses, starting from a little appetizer, which is followed by little sashimi kind of dish, then soup dish, a grilled dish, simmered dish, steamed dish, a kind of successive little course meal. And the kaiseki meal was established, comes from tea ceremony. But it is confusing, but there are two formal meals, two kaiseki course meal. One one is called the tea kaiseki formal meal, and the other is banquet formal meal, kaiseki meal. And these are, as I explained, it's formal meal, usually served at high-end restaurant, or even when you go to Japan, stay at the Japanese inn. The dinner, you get multiple delicious dishes of meals. That's part of kaiseki meal. It's a formal meal.
Okay. And what is the principle of shun?
Okay, so shun means seasonality. And in Japan, well, I always say Japanese cuisine focus on seasonal ingredients. Seasonal, every dish we make, we use seasonal ingredients. But you may say in Italy, in France, of course, people are cooking seasonally, but the Japanese are more into, what do I say? Okay, so the season of bamboo shoot, the entire 120 million population excited about the arrival of this bamboo shoot, which comes in late March through early April. So when you watch Japanese TV, of course, you know weather forecast, which changes, getting warmer from the south of Japan to the northern Japan. The announcer talks about not just the weather forecast, but the bamboo shoot front line. Okay, now bamboo shoot is available at this warmer area, and then reaching to Tokyo by the beginning of April. Or the people are so much, uh, how to say, just excited about the arrival of many different food items. And also, it's not the inclusion of seasonal ingredients in the preparation, but we use each season, we have different preparation techniques. Summer, winter, very different. The temperature of the dishes served different, and also the plates, bowls, tableware used throughout the season are seasonal different. So that's the
That's what,
seasonal.
right, a little bit more in depth than just being seasonal.
Right.
Let's talk about your upcoming tour. You have each year, other than during COVID, have run tours to Japan in different areas, but you keep going back to Kyushu, and you have a
Kyushu.
premium tour coming up in November. What makes Kyushu so unique that you keep going back there with different tours?
Okay, so Kyushu, it is the southern largest island of Japan, far from Tokyo, where I was grown up. I visited there on business, on pleasure, and I found just a huge. Okay, no, let's start from this one. Kyushu is known as the land of Hinokuni, land of fire. Land of fire means geologically a very interesting place. It is an intersection of two tectonic plates, which means mantle underground heats underground water, and then steam comes out like volcano. That's pure white steam from many area in that island. So it's full of hot springs. Hot springs, different region has different mineral content, but any hot springs you dip in, your skin goes back to like the one of baby. It's just so wonderful. Hot spring is, and also because of this geology, nature is beautiful. Lakes, the field, mountains, gorges. It's just a wonderful place to have a little walk, little hike, and which we'll be doing during this tour. Then, of course, hot spring dipping. And then one of the most fascinating thing about Kyushu is because of its location close to China, Korea. So Chinese influence came as early as 3,000 years ago, or the rice cultivation 3,000 years ago traveled from China, the Yangtze River region, to Kyushu, and then spread over across the other part of the island. And in the first millenniums, the Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, everything came, landed on the island of Kyushu. And there are many old temples. When you go to Kyoto, Nara, they say, oh, such a beautiful temples. Temples in this region is a little more different, older, and has more, they have been the place where we visit one particular peninsula, which are studded with temples built in the 7th century. So a kind of practice, esoteric, kind of the early Buddhism came from India by way of China to Japan. It's quite, and we will have a very special service at one of the temple on this peninsula. That's another fascinating thing. And then Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch. So Portuguese, after they established their trading post in Malay Peninsula in the 16th century, they are looking for Japan as a land of full of gold. They called us Japan. So they sailed to Japan, and one day met the typhoon, and the shipwreck drifted to a little island of Kyushu, this island. They were rescued, then brought all the way to present Tokyo, where the feudal lord resided. And then this was the beginning of the Portuguese, Spanish coming
Influence.
to Japan, trading ships with missionaries. Then Dutch, after the Portuguese was expelled, Spanish expelled, Dutch came to Japan and continued the trading through very tiny island of Nagasaki, where we will visit. So it's the foreign influences
They're all there.
And so we see the influence what they left on the island. And well, let me give you one more Christian influence. So the Portuguese Spaniard, they tried to spread the Christianity across Japan. They met first introduction, that was 1549. Francisco Xavier came to Japan. Then they preached, and by 1600, 300,000 Japanese people were converted to Christian. Then met the suppression. The Hideyoshi, he was the ruler of Japan back then. Just suppressed the Christian. 9 missionaries, foreign missionaries, 20 Japanese lay people were crucified. Then the next shogun, Tokugawa, he was much, much stronger, and he felt fear of being kind of taken the country by foreigners. So he completely banned, 1612, banned Christianity. And if you didn't convert back to Buddhism, they were burned. They were pushed to from the cliff. Well, just the persecution was very severe.
Yeah.
So now only 1% of the population is Christian in Japan.
Let me ask you a quick question. In America or any country, Italy, you go to different regions. There's certain foods they're known for. In Kyushu, are there some specific dishes that they are known for or being developed from Kyushu that was not in other areas of Japan?
Yes. So Kyushu, first of all, because of this foreign influence, Chinese, some Portuguese, Dutch, Spanish cuisine influence, and like famous tonkatsu, deep fried pork, chicken karaage, deep fried chicken, which became very popular here in America, karaage. And there's what's more? Some
Tamago? Was tamago the egg?
the egg chawanmushi, that's Chinese origin, savory egg custard, started in Kyushu. Many popular Japanese dishes were kind of recreated in the land of Kyushu. And also, the Kyushu is famous for pig. Pig was originally introduced from China to Okinawa, present Okinawa, and then to the Kyushu island. And Kyushu has excellent jidori, local chicken. And also, Kyushu is a home of shochu, Japanese spirit, distilled alcohol, whose preparation came from Thailand to Kagoshima, one of the prefecture or state in Kyushu, and spread across the island. So it's just very rich culinary culture.
You know, I love talking to you, and we're going a little long. So let me get to remind people to learn about the Kyushu Premium Tour. Go to Hiroko's Kitchen. That's Hiroko's, that's a plural, kitchen.com. Everything about the tour will be there. All the things that we talked about. There'll be links to videos and what she's doing. So hirokoskitchen.com. Going to go with a couple of my questions that I ask at the end of the show. What was the best bite you had all week?
What was the best which I have eaten in my life?
No, this past week.
Past week. Okay, yeah, Arctic char from Canada, Canadian water, which is very rich. So this is how I prepare fish. I don't put the fish in a skillet and cook with butter or some other oil, olive oil. Instead, I marinate. This recipe is in my next book. I marinated fish, a piece of fish, cut fish in a mixture of sake, shoyu, mirin, overnight marination. Then next day, remove from the marinade and then put them on a Japanese fish grilling skewer, very thin, very thin. Put them on top so it's free, stand in the air. Then I cook this in the broiler, or the heat comes from top, or salamander. While fish is cooking, fish just drops extra fat, and also this marinade. Just it's not giving just flavor, but eliminating the off flavor from the fish. And the cooked fish has the best natural flavor. So
Good.
this is how I always do. And the Arctic char was just delicious.
Delicious. If you wake up tomorrow morning and you had a new talent, what would the new talent be?
I love listening to classical music, and I would love to be able to play the
That's
piano.
good. And if you could go back and tell your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Okay, life is impermanent. You have only now. Focus on what you want to do it now. Don't waste time. Don't waste on time on too many machines. Just use the time. And this is the time. I'm talking with Dara. This is the only time I was given, and I give the most to Dara, to you. And that's, yeah, that's what I will give to my 18 years old myself. So,
Hiroko, a joy to reconnect with you. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us. Everybody, hirokoskitchen.com. And I'm going to
and,
just go with some announcements and close out the show. So, big moi
and
from
Dara,
Baltimore.
I need 2 more people for my tour. Everyone come with me.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Only 2 more slots open on the tour, everybody. So you don't want to miss out. All right. So let me go over some notifications. Thank you again, Hiroko. And a word or two from J More Living. We're going to go this Tuesday, June 6th, at Union Craft Brewing is going to be Laughs and Libations. I will be there. And in fact, those listening, I have 2 tickets available. So you want to reach out to me at food@jmoreliving.com. The first one to come in for the tickets, I will take care of. So enjoy Laughs and Libations at Union Craft Brewing. It's a unique and introspective evening of comedy, interfaith comedy show. People of various backgrounds, religions are going to be making us smile. You know, where else can you get some beer and belly laughs at the same time? Tickets are $20.50, and that includes the show, 1 beverage. The doors open at 5 p.m. The show begins at 6 p.m. You can go to jmoreliving.com, and there are flyers all over to click on there called Laughs and Libations. And the first person to come in to claim the 2 tickets, food@jmoreliving.com, request them. Also, each month, JMore will be giving away $50 gift cards to numerous Baltimore restaurants. All this can be found on jmoreliving.com, and for the contest, jmoreliving.com/contest. If you need to reach me, I just mentioned it, I'll do it again. My email is food@jmoreliving.com, or you can find me on Instagram @DaraCooks. All shows are immediately archived in video form on JMore's Facebook page and jmoreliving.com. Feel free to dig into our archives of past shows. You can go back and listen to Hiroko's show, which was about 2 years ago, and any of the past shows. And feel free to share them with your friends, this show or previous shows. It helps the show grow, and it keeps the roof over my head, or at least a portion thereof. And as I like to say, may your plates always, always remain full. And you know what? I almost forgot. Next week's guest, I'm sorry, next week's guest will be Peter Menaki. Peter is a proud Greek Canadian and creator of the popular Califagus Greek Food and Beyond food blog, cookbook author, supper club. He's in Canada, but runs special dinners in New York, LA. So tune in next week. All right, everybody. See you next week.